Today I fucked up by being too lazy to eat. Yesterday instead of today. Monday morning rolled up and I had the house for myself, so I lazed away the morning on my bed. No breakfast. No lunch. Didn't even drink water cause I couldn't be bothered to get up. Finally, around 2 p.m. I decided to go to the movies, so I rolled out of the bed, put on my shoes and left in my pajamas, which are basically a very old, stained t-shirt and shorts. While in the subway, I started to feel a bit weird, nauseated and a bit faint. Realized my pressure was dropping, probably because I haven't eaten anything in about 15 hours. I thought about stopping on one of those food stands there are in the subway, but then I remembered there was this restaurant right beside the movie theater that I loved and decided to eat there instead of wasting money on my way there. So, I got out of the subway and started crossing the 6 lanes avenue to get to the movies. Right in the middle of the crossroad, I feel the world dropping from under my feet as I'm swept by cold sweat. So sick I thought I was going to throw up, so I instinctively stop and try to lean on my knees. That didn't happen. What happened is by the time I came back to myself, I was on my back with a dozen or so of people around me, looking worried. Cars are honking. I'm so nauseated I could not stand up on my own. People had to carry me to the sidewalk and then into a little restaurant, whose owner is one of the people trying to help me, asked if they should call an ambulance. I could barely talk without feeling like throwing up, so I just shook my head and said like, blood pressure, or something. So they had me lying down with my feet on a chair for a few minutes, sipping on some water with sugar the restaurant owner gave me. By the time I was finally feeling less like crap, they asked again if I'm okay. One thing about me is that I tend to cry under strong emotions. Happiness, sadness, whatever. In this case, I was so fucking mortified that as soon as my body allowed it, I burst in tears. I was still feeling nauseated from the low pressure, which combined with my crying made any attempt of talking coherently hopeless. But after a few attempts I finally managed to say something along the lines of, I didn't have anything to eat since last night. Now to paint the picture. A sick-looking girl bawling that she had not eaten since last night, wearing stained, kind of raggy clothes and sneakers. People look sympathetic. The restaurant owner disappeared back to his kitchen. By the time I calmed down, he reappeared with a plate full of food and a glass of juice that he put in front of me on the table, saying it was on the house. When I try to say there's no need, he insists and presses a $20 bill on my hand. The people who stuck around also starts giving me money. It's around this time that dawns on my they all think I'm a kid down on my luck, struggling to get by. If before I wanted to disappear, by now I wanted to be eaten whole by the ground. Since I was even more mortified, I went back to crying while trying to give the money back. But I also didn't want to say this all happened because I was just too lazy to eat properly, and these were my usually stay-at-home clothes. So they probably thought I was just being, prideful? They all insisted I kept the money, and after a few kind pats to my back, they all left. The owner tells me to take my time to recover, asks again if I need an ambulance, replied no, then go back to work, leaving me with a full plate and around $80 on my hand. I didn't know what else to do, so I ate the food and left after thanking the owner again. I didn't watch the movie as I wouldn't be able to exist if any of these people saw me walking into the movies after all that. So, I went back home. Gave the money to a homeless lady I saw on the way cause I don't think I've been able to use them anyway. Moral of the story: eat breakfast, kids. Edit. Well, this is a thing I had my whole life. Pressure drops when I exercise too much. Don't eat, don't drink. So I never thought about it too much, but the number of people telling me to get a doctor to check me is making me reconsider it. I've an appointment in a few weeks, so I'll ask about it then. Thanks everyone. And #X200B. Too long, did not read. Didn't eat breakfast nor lunch, so on my way to the movies, I got so dizzy I crumbled in the middle of the street. People thought I was too poor to afford food, so they gave me money and free food. Went back home out of mortification and gave the money away. Sorry, but haha, so lazy that I forgot to eat to the point of passing out, is really not normal behavior. You should get yourself checked. There is an upside to this story. In a moment of crisis, strangers rallied to offer you assistance. There are many people who experience different outcomes in similar situations. Be sure to pay it forward and offer assistance to someone in need who crosses your path. Is your sense of hunger and thirst compromised in some way? I'd say get that checked when you can. That isn't a normal reaction to not eating. Hope you're doing fine though. I only eat one meal a day, so I think you should get yourself checked out. I never feel like you did, and I exercise every day too. Today I fucked up by double booking myself for 2 dates. Today I fucked up by double booking myself. So little backstory is I used to date this girl about a year ago for a year and then she broke up with me. So where this story starts is about 3-4 weeks ago I got a new tattoo and posted it on Snapchat private story, which my ex is still on, and she replied to it giving me a compliment and we started having a chat for a bit. Fully at this moment I was making her laugh and thought I was well back in with her, so I shot my shot. Where I said to her, want to grab lunch this Saturday for a catch-up. I had ulterior motives to maybe get a quick hookup. She left me on scene, so that wasn't happening unfortunately. Later that week on the Friday I made plans with a different girl. We'll call her Becky cause she was an absolute Becky, on Saturday to grab lunch and perhaps a drink after at this pretty fancy place in our city that does pretty good deals in the afternoon. Fast forward to Saturday, I'm with Becky and we walking through a pretty popular spot in our city and we pull into this decently bougie coffee shop for an early lunch. And as we order, my ex walks into the coffee shop with her new boyfriend I had no clue about and spots me with Becky. So I thought it was a little awkward but nothing too serious until she fully strutted towards us, plonked herself down next to me and started to tell Becky how I had asked her out just a couple days ago to the same spot. Both me and the other bloke just looked at each other like what the fuck is going on. Obviously in this situation I threw my hands up and tried to gaslight my ex into thinking grabbing lunch was an innocent catch-up and I had no intention of getting back with her, which inadvertently wasn't true, nor did anyone else believe this including Becky. Becky stood up and walked off. My ex laughed and her boyfriend looked unbelievably uncomfortable still, and then they left and I enjoyed 2 meals for myself as they couldn't go to waste, but I'm still annoyed by the situation as I had booked an Airbnb for us to go to and I ended up staying in it by myself, which is probably deserved. Too long did not read. Asked my ex on a date so I could perhaps get a hookup, got left on scene. Offered a different girl on a date at the exact same time and spot. Ran into my ex at the spot and she told the girl I was with what I had done. And I end up without a hookup. You need to put some points into charisma, you failed both checks. Why is nobody asking the real question? Why the fuck would the ex show up at the exact place and time of the invite, with her BF, after ghosting the original invite? She sounds like a psycho. This is why she's an ex. I bet she went there specifically to post on her story after leaving you on scene. Time to remove that ex from all socials. He just wanted 2 girlfriends.